Welcome to the One Question Leadership Podcast. This is Chrissy Raywalk, Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at the University of Delaware. One of the things that I appreciate and enjoy most about leadership is that it's a journey, not a destination. It involves lots of different twists and turns, and you need many different types of people to go along with you on your journey in order for it to be successful. So today, I invite you to start your leadership journey with this podcast. Enjoy.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown, and welcome to the One Question Leadership Podcast, where we highlight executive and organizational leadership. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 1Q Leadership. Our guest today is Brittney Whiteside. Brittney is the Vice President of ASP College at Altius Sports Properties. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Thanks for joining us, Brittney. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So at some point in our career, we achieve, we overachieve, we get positions. We go to various leadership positions within different college athletics or private business, whatever we're doing. But then other people recognize it and they put us on the board of trustees of the undergrad that we graduated from. Talk to me about that.
Yeah.
You are a trustee.
Yes.
There's so many people walking around right now that cannot say that they were in the leadership of their university.
Yeah, I am a trustee member at Wright State University, my alma mater. And for me, it's a place that just was really formative in terms of who I am today and the opportunities that I have in college athletics. And so still remain connected to the leadership there. A former athlete, a colleague, he was a golfer, and he reached out to me, and we played at Wright State during the same time, and he asked me if I would be interested in, joining the board of trustees, as he had been a member for years. Yeah. And felt like I could add value to the group. And so it was an instant yes, because, it's just a place that means a lot to me, and one that I want to continue to pour into in different ways. And I saw this as an opportunity to do so.
The board of trustees help me understand. Board of trustees is made up of a number of different people with different backgrounds that have whatever reason they're on the trustees, whether it be accomplishments, whether it be leadership, whether it be they have the resources or something like that. So you're mixing and mingling with people. I wonder, have you interacted with a group as diverse as however the Board of Trustees is before?
You know what? No, I haven't.
Okay.
There are individuals that have backgrounds in military. We have individuals that are physicians. And so the way they put it together is they look for people with a diverse backgrounds as you think about how institutions run. And athletics is a part of that. And so myself and Andy Platt is his name, the former golfer, we kind of bring that perspective of being a former athlete that now has transitioned into the business world, and for myself, the business of college sports, and just helping the institution navigate such a pivotal time in college athletics as well. So that really saw that as the value add to that group.
I'm awed because it's an important position. The Board of Trustees can fire the president, hire a new president, right? Agree to build a new building, agree to do something with the city that's huge. You see what I mean? And that's very influential.
Yeah.
For insiders look in terms of how decisions are made or how a trustee's insight into decisions works. Can you tell us about something you've been involved in that you could share where you actually had to voice your thoughts?
Yeah. It's really about collaboration at that level, and working closely with the president, making sure the president has, what she needs. President Sue Edwards has what she needs to be successful in her role, and then also add ourselves as resources as needed. So when I joined the board of trustees, we were going through a pretty pivotal time, really looking at college athletics closely, hired a group that would help us kind of navigate what level of college athletics we would still, compete at. And for me, being a former athlete, that's something near and dear to my background and myself. And so just going through that process through an objective lens and really having an understanding of what's best for the institution right now, right? And helping the president make that decision. Ultimately, made the decision to stay at the Division I level. But it was something that was definitely, I had to add my input and insight in terms of just where I see Wright State from the competitive landscape. And then also we had outside group that helped us navigate that as well. So that was just one example. And we're looking at building, exploring, facilities, looking at community, partnerships. So that's also where, I add value from my perspective and experience in college sports.
Do you get excited about that stuff?
I do. I get excited. It's a passion. And for me, like Wright State is just a place that I love that I always try to go back to as much as I can. So it is something that I enjoy.
Right. Excellent. So Altius Sports Properties, how long ago? A year? 2 years?
2 years.
2 years ago.
A little over 2 years.
You go in, and it's a company that considers schools as clients?
Yes. We have school partners.
Give us a description, the two-sentence description of Altius Sports.
Yeah, so at Altius, we consider ourselves, we are a firm that helps leaders across the country navigate the critical issues in college athletics, right? We started out 2 years ago, as you can think about that time, NIL. Well, actually, we started out more than 2 years ago now. I started 2 years ago, but when Altius started, we were focused on NIL because NIL was new. And now as more complex issues come in, we have the house settlement, revenue share. We're really helping leaders at a really high level navigate the strategy and then provide the resources on campus for them to be able to leverage the opportunities when it comes to athletes, commercial opportunities and rights.
And how many schools or people do you work with, I guess?
Oh, goodness. We have about 35 plus partners across Division I. We have worked with nearly half of the Power Five. We have over 19 individuals on campus, general managers, various roles that are staffed on campus as well, being day-to-day contacts for those schools.
And then 2 years ago, how many people did you work with?
Oh, goodness. We've grown a lot. So it's funny you say that. I think when I joined Altius, I was employee, I believe like number 8, and now we're, 40 plus employees, right? So at the time, I think we still had a good school dynamic. And when I joined, we were really starting like our ASP Academy. So we started working with schools that were outside of the Power Five. And so that was exciting to see. Now we have, more than one school in the Academy. We just announced Butler yesterday as Academy partnership. So that's been a really area of growth for us as well.
Which is excellent. We're in those 2 years, and now we're at almost 40. Where was the Brittney Whiteside influence to get us to where we are now at Altius Sports Properties?
Yeah. I started with like people first. I think that the influence I've been able to have is bringing my perspective from campus, bringing the understanding of being an administrator, working directly with coaches, understanding athletes' needs, and bringing that to our group of diverse like leadership group that have backgrounds in other areas. And really offering up like my input and value in informing the strategy of how we're going to work with schools, how we're going to add value on campus, right? And then the people. Like I absolutely enjoy who I work with. We have professionals at all different levels, and we have young people that are really passionate about what they do. And I loved the opportunity to get to know them and help them grow in their roles as well.
They hired you as the in-house expert on college athletics?
Yes, I joined Altius as part of our executive leadership team. Yep.
So the 7 employees before you?
Yeah, so our CEO, Casey Schwab, we had one other individual from campus, Andrew Donovan. He worked at Tennessee. So he was like the first person from campus to be hired. And then myself was the second person. Yeah, now we have Tommy Gray from Stanford as well, who's part of our team.
Tommy Gray. He's been on the podcast. I even think Donovan has been on the podcast.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I value that. I value being a part of something as it grows. I was a part of Athletic Director U as we started growing Athletic Director U, and I value seeing the outcomes of bringing different people and what people can do there. There's an aspect of college athletics that people work themselves to gray hair, no sleep, don't drink water, and now you're in private business.
Yeah.
Talk about the contrast of working on campus and working not on campus.
Yeah. It's a big difference, when you are on campus, you're very much like ingrained in the culture. You're hyper focused on supporting your coaches, your athletes, and leading your people. The transition to the private world and off campus, you still have those same responsibilities. You don't have as much direct connection with like the same group of coaches, right? You're trying to help them win a championship. Now I'm in a role where we're serving institutions across the landscape, right, at a really high level. And so that transition has been good. When you're on campus, it's nights, it's weekends, it's 24/7 on call. That's different for me now. I have a little bit more time to spend with my family, taking care of myself, and doing things that I really enjoy outside of work. And so it's been a welcome change, and also still having the opportunity to be part of an organization that's a really big part of shaping the future of college athletics is what I'm also passionate about as well.
So there's a question, I imagine, to be a company that is college athletics adjacent. You stay up on the news, you follow the news. You're probably just as surprised as we are on the news. But you work in a business, and news comes out, and sometimes news is like, this is not, what is this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So tell me about how you, being a part of the leadership team, how have you strategized to make sure you are providing services that will help people deal with what we hear today, yesterday, tomorrow?
Absolutely. Yeah. We try to, we don't try to, we do. What we do is we communicate with our partners. We know that there will be times when the headlines will be sensationalized, and we try to provide them with accurate, timely information so it helps them inform their decisions on campus, and they can rely on us for that. And so once you think back to some of the pivotal moments in college sports, we've sent memos, we sent emails, we're sending detailed information based off of our knowledge and our expertise, right? And so they know they can rely on us to provide that quality information. And we also tell them, you'll see headlines, you'll see this, but be patient. We're going to work through this. We're your partner in this. And so I think that's a big part of it as well, because we can definitely get lost in the headlines when it comes to the last, 3 years in college athletics.
When you work with an entrepreneur, do you see the people who started the business? Do you see their gears winding in terms of how can we strategize for 5 years from now? Like, what are we talking about? Like, is that part of the conversations you have?
That's definitely, that's a big part of our conversation. And so that's been probably the biggest change is that's where we stay, is like, where is the puck headed, right? And how can we help our schools get there? And so a big part of what we do is taking in information, synthesizing it, and understanding like how we can help our schools that want to be more aggressive in the landscape, or some that want to be conservative, but also just really forging new paths. In college athletics, we started our GM program 2 years ago when I joined Altius. People weren't really placing individuals on campus to oversee GM. Now, to oversee NIL, excuse me. Now we're building infrastructures. We have schools like Memphis that have more than one, staff member there on campus that are helping athletes navigate this new, space, which is really needed. So, yeah, it's been fun to kind of be forward thinking and not reactive, and help our schools be more progressive and competitive in the landscape.
But then also focus on what's happening now,
right?
And
happening now, which is a big part of it.
Yeah, which is excellent. We were talking offline about the significance of changes in college athletics now.
Yeah.
I was trying my best to figure out another time when something was as significant. You said it affects student athletes, administrators, legislators are involved, conferences, everybody.
Everyone, right? And from my perspective, I don't know another time in college sports, the business college sports, where we've had a moment like this, right? It's just been one that's been unprecedented. It's one that it's definitely a pivotal moment of change. It's going to change how leaders lead, how conferences support, leadership, how NCAA is really structured and enforcement. And it's really a key time in college athletics. And so for leaders, it's a time of change. It's been a time of constant change, when I feel like we were in a time where there were many knowns, right? You're in a space now where there are some unknowns. And so as a leader, that can be challenging. And that's where we come along and help support those leaders and trying to navigate the critical issues and complex issues in the landscape, because it is very critical and complex.
The only time I can come up with was 1922 when NCAA was created, right? Because that seemed like it affected schools, affected the athletes, legislation was involved, and all those kind of things.
And think about athletes now, like they're in a place where they're learning, they're picking up these new skills where they can monetize on their name, image, and likeness. They're learning contracts, they're learning so many things, and they're making money. That's helping them, right? Helping them, their families, their future. It's a very a great time in college athletics, depending on who you ask. I think some leaders are a little bit overwhelmed with where it's at, but we will figure it out. We always have, and we always will, and we'll always do what's best, for the athletes that we serve.
Think about so when you were a student athlete, and when I was a student athlete, there are things that I missed as I look back on campus.
Yep.
I should have been more engaged in campus. I should have gotten to know more people outside of just the people in football or the people we were around all the time. Should have gotten to know the administrators. I should have gotten to know a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Should have done internships if I could have done internships. There was a bunch of things that the minute I graduated, I realized I did a lot of this wrong. Mm-hmm. I wonder what student athletes feel like now that may feel like they're missing out on with all this stuff happening in terms of once they graduate, like, oh, I did that all wrong with all this stuff going on.
Yeah. I think there still are similar, I wish I would have gotten more involved in campus, mm-hmm. And done more things outside of my sport. I think that will still be probably a consistent theme. And then I think, who knows how many of them are managing their money well. There may be times where they look back. I certainly have those times in my life and said, I wish I would have made different decisions. And so I think that just thinking through of I also think athletes right now will think about how can I have better leverage my brand while I was in college. I don't know if all of them understand this 4 or 5 years that they have is such a key moment.
Exactly.
To build their brand. They have fans, they have supporters, they have followers, they have a city and state where they're from, where people are following them. So investing in building themselves as a brand and finding opportunities to monetize on that. I think many of them will look back and wish, oh man, I could have done that a little bit better. And some of them are doing an excellent job and really diving into it. And schools are providing them with the educational resources in order to do so too, which is good.
Which is excellent. I'll ask a couple more questions here. What aspect of your job do you really like the most? You come up through athletics and looking at your background, you've did a number of things, right? Especially when you get to be the deputy without the title of deputy, then you get the title of deputy, you're doing everything. And then now, in terms of what you're doing, while it sounds like there's more freedom to live and have a life outside of college athletics, but I wonder what parts of the job you will take with you when you go to become the president of Wright State or something like that.
You know what? Being part of a company where we're building it, together, you don't have that opportunity on a campus because you come into institutions that have been around for years, that are set, they have traditions and all these things. And so what I will take away is just the ability to build, to be innovative, to be a critical thinker in the space. And then also just the ability to really invest in your people and really making sure that as you are building, you're taking them with you. They're gaining key skill sets. They're having opportunities and you're supporting them beyond their current roles, right? And then, I really enjoy what I do. I oversee our business development. So I enjoy connecting with colleagues and helping them navigate what a partnership may look like with us and how we can help support them in the space. So I really, really enjoy that part of it.
So those are the things, that's the lens you'll look through as your career continues in terms of where you'll decide what's next.
Building the ability to build, from the ground up really is something that I've had an opportunity to do, but not in this way.
In
not
this
in a
way.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
a different way.
Right. And they look back at the Brittney Whiteside influence.
Right.
And it's like, man, she helped us build this whole thing.
You're creating systems, you're creating processes, you're building it as you go. And so that is a really, really exciting part of what I have the opportunity to do every day with my colleagues.
Which is excellent. Well, Brittney, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you joining us here on One Question.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. That was Brittney Whiteside. She's the Vice President of ASP College for Altius Sports Properties.
That's right.
And of course, I am Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of the One Question Leadership Podcast is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.